Hi, my name is Jamie Hitchings of Filmmaker U. At Filmmaker U, we create courses for film professionals to deepen and diversify their skill set. You can learn more at filmmakeru.com or follow us on Instagram at filmmaker_u. Every week, we interview film professionals, and this week we are delighted to be joined by Mélodie Preel, whose work includes Becoming Karl Lagerfeld, A Difficult Year, and In Therapy. Welcome to the show, Mélodie. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad to be with you.
Thank you. So I'm going to start out with my first question. Now, you shot episodes 1, 2, and parts of 6 of Becoming Karl Lagerfeld. Can you talk about how you worked with the other cinematographer to develop consistency between the episodes you shot and they shot?
So we first started to work on with the director Jerome Sal on the look of the film and the way we want to shoot it and the way we want to light it and everything. And then we did a meeting with the other director and the other DP, Madi Lepar, and Audrey Estrugo, the director. And we sat and we just shared our vision of the TV show and they asked questions. We just exchanged a lot of informations. But as they had a lot of different locations, they had a little bit of freedom and everything because it could have been weird. They did shot in the same location sometimes, and he had you in those moments you have to follow what has been done in a way, but luckily for Maddie and Audrey, they had tons of new locations. So they had to follow the grammar, the cinematographic grammar of the TV show, but they have tons of freedom to do their stuff.
Fantastic. And it was beautifully shot. I mean, I'm an editor by trade, but I really, really enjoyed the cinematography very, very deeply.
Oh, great. Thank you.
How do you feel the cinematography of Becoming Karl Lagerfeld enhanced the narrative and provide insight into his life and his rise to fame?
I think one of the main questions for Jerome during the prep of the TV show was to how can we empathize with Carl as he is a very reserved, secretive, I don't know if the good word, but shy, and he has so much difficulties to express how he feels, and sometimes, most of the time, he's saying the opposite of it. And so we've just think about the best way to be close to him and to be within his breathing and everything. So wide lenses appear to be the solution of it. And to avoid as much as we can foreground, like to be really with him. And static shot a lot. Not all of it, but yeah, mostly to be very close with him.
I've been a camera person for 30 years and I fell in love with cinema. I heard there was free film school in France and I wanted to get into the French film school. I really didn't know anything at the time, but I knew at least how to take pictures. So I said, I'll try for the image department. And then when I miraculously got into the French film school, I fell in love with working with the camera. You're following what's going to be in the movie. So that immediacy that the camera allows is what I loved from the beginning. I'm Kirsten Johnson, and this is my course about documentary cinematography.
Speaking of being very close with him, I noticed because I knew that he was kind of a secretive man, like he didn't really share a lot. And I noticed in the first episode, when he was at Yves Saint Laurent's fashion show, there was so much to see, so much art direction and the beauty and the grandeur of the scene itself. And there was so many wide shots of just the environment. And then there was just this fantastic close on Carl. And he had this kind of stone-faced expression. He wasn't really looking, but they kept coming, the editors, obviously that wasn't your job, but they kept coming back to this angle of Carl when just all of this excitement was going around on him. It was incredibly effective. And I just really loved how close we were to Carl. And obviously he wasn't he was trying to stay stone-faced and trying to stay very stoic, but we kind of knew what was going on underneath. It was a beautiful shot. Can you talk a little bit about kind of going tight on Karl for that?
Yeah, actually, it was a complicated location on every aspect. Lighting wise, there were no windows except far away. So I decided just to go through it, and frontal light and very strong which would allow us to be front light or backlight for the show, which was great. Then to shot them, thousands of people, not thousands, but hundreds of people. And then we decided to put them on the stairs. But the way to shot them, the only way was to have a crane. On the top of the stairs, there were tiny corridors where we could put the base of the crane and then go around and to be very close to them. So it was a tricky one on every aspect, and he ended up being really great. And we just went with the same grammar we were doing on him, and he's amazing. And the fact that you can feel something, because actually on the first episode he's wearing sunglasses all the time, like, but we decided to graded them so you can see a tiny bit of his expression. But yeah, and he's an amazing actor. He's brilliant. So you can understand what he's going through within few tiny bit of what's happening on his face.
That was such an impressive scene. I really enjoyed it. You know, it just like the waves around him and him just being kind of there. It was gorgeous.
I love
Fantastic.
the music as well.
Yes, and all the editing, the music, I mean, everything worked, but it started with your cinematography, obviously. There was so much detail about about the 1970s. I wasn't alive then, obviously, neither were you, but the color and the feel of it and everything else, and gosh, the art direction was just so rich. Did that influence how you wanted to cover scenes?
For sure. First of all, Jean Rabas, the art director, is a genius. And some location we had to redo them as they were, because we were shooting on famous locations as Yves Saint Laurent apartment, the Club 7, the restaurant, and the nightclub downstairs. And other locations, he just created them. And he just has a brilliant mind on when during the prep on just the direction he wanted to go. And it was so exciting to follow him, and with Jerome and everything. For sure, it would, how do you say that? Not change my direction, but I would embrace his art direction. And for example, in the Club 7, it was a real location with all those glasses mirror 360 all around, some neon colored as they were, and we were choosing the gels to match the tone at that time, because we wanted a peculiar size of tube, not the Astera size, but the one like thinner one as they use at that time. But that means you add gel on them and everywhere, but it was super cool to do it. And then we just mixed, and I think it was speaking with Jean and Jerome, and then we decided, okay, over the table it would be kind of cool light, and then all around is quite warm, and the mirror is very warm, so it could be a nice mix. So you just embrace what Jean is doing, and you go with it, and we exchange a lot during prep.
Yeah, there was just so much to see. It was just it was beautifully done. Very, very beautifully done.
But it is so brilliant to work with, because he works a lot and he's super precise. So during camera test, he would, for the main location, he would come with few options for practicals. So even like months before, the practical you're gonna have on location and everything, then you can have conversation about the glass that's covering him, more frosted or not, and everything is super precise.
Wow. That sounds amazing to have those types of choices. Fantastic. So the nightlife scenes, you mentioned Club 7, but just the nightlife scenes in general. they were so saturated, and you talked a little bit about the neon and everything like that. And then the daytime scenes, by and large, or this is at least what I picked up on, were much more earth tones. They were just kind of more rich, and I don't want to say flat in a bad way, but they definitely weren't as saturated as the club scenes and the nightlife scenes.
I think we didn't want to make any strong separation. I think it's coming a lot from, for example, Chloe, the office of Chloe. All the walls are kind of off-white or something like that. The colors pops from the dresses is making, and they are quite saturated, or we just left them as they were. And we same for all the costumes and the paint for all the wall and the location and everything. We did it on prep to match with the LUT we used. We used a Kodachrome mixed with the black and white layer, but we wanted to be true to the color he used. So we did a lot of tests to see if everything was going through well. But to answer your question, I think it's coming because for me, if you see for example, the kitchen where they're prepping for Karl, it's quite saturated. Maybe we don't have neons on frames, so maybe this come from this, but all the color, they were treated the same. We didn't make a different saturation.
Yeah, I'm thinking about like his apartment. He was outside with Chloe, and I'm thinking about his apartment that he shared with his mom. It was dark, but it wasn't saturated. And then, for the lack of a
Right.
better word, his dressing room. We
Right.
see his dressing room a few times.
But I think it's the same. It's the same reflection on how do you get your intention on the costume and not on the wall and everything. Like for the living room was more strong color, a dark blue and everything, and browns. But you're right that the dressing room was quite white, bluish, like very pale. But then you see all about the costumes and everything. And it's the same at Chloe's.
It's funny because I noticed it. I was looking at it for the cinematography when I was watching it, and like his dressing room, and I never thought about it being white to kind of accent the beautiful richness of his clothes. But
Yeah,
yeah,
the
now
way
that you say it, it makes complete and utter sense.
Probably one of the smartest things I've ever done for my career. He gave me all the tools that I needed to be able to jump into a new career.
Getting myself into a mindset, thinking like an editor, and being around people that I can talk to on that level was really invaluable to me.
A lot of the things that I learned from that class, I still think about.
I loved the classroom. I loved the computer stations. We built a sense of community.
And it also instills a lot of confidence in you to take that and go out into the world.
After I took the class, I felt very prepared to take the next step.
I owe Manhattan Workshop the career that I have right now.
Things have been going great, and I really have the Manhattan Workshop to thank for that.
You obviously are a very talented cinematographer. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got interested in cinematography? You started out as a still photographer, yes?
Yeah, I started as a teenager doing photography, a lot of still photography. Then I started, and I was watching movies a lot, and making of. And the more I was watching the making of, I just got interested in the person who was holding the camera, and to me it was the person who was making the film. So, and I was drawn by framing and everything, so it would make sense to go to this direction.
Now, I meant to ask this earlier. I'm sorry, I'm bouncing around just a little bit. What did you shoot on? You mentioned your lenses, but what did you shoot it on?
We had two Mini LF, two camera, which was great because Jerome preferred to shoot with one camera at the time. So most of the time we were shooting one camera, and when it was easy and not diminish the grammar of the film, we would add another camera. So it was Mini LF, and the main lenses was the Tribes 7. And then I wanted, it was another reflection that we had on prep, that to enhance the feelings without too much pointing it out. I I was thinking, okay, let's try different lenses for different emotion, or let's have weird lenses that if we feel we want to use, that is going to express something in a conscious way, like on another level. So we did that, and I took some Petzvalds lenses, some one anamorphic lenses, a 32 silver Orion. I took some Kinoptic, a 9mm, but this one we didn't end up ending to use it. I think Maddie used it once. And we had another 50mm dream lens or something, but this we didn't use. It was another way to adding something to it that I liked.
I have a question for you, and I ask everybody that comes on, and I want to know, what is your guilty pleasure film or TV show? It can be something that you'll watch on repeat if you see it, or every time you see it, you'll watch it, or just something that you, tune into every time it's on.
I think I have two, and it's come from my childhood. It's the first one would be the Cinema Paradiso from Giuseppe Tornatore, and the other one is E.T.
E.T.
I call my son Elliot, so I cannot not name E.T.
You must have seen it when you were a little girl, like I did.
Yeah.
What is it about E.T. that you love so much? Is it the story? Is it the cinematography?
No, I was so young, so it was the story, the little guy and this little guy that is with him, the friendship, I don't know, everything about it.
Same with me. I really like the story.
Flying bike, you want this flying bike, and the red hoodie, you want all of it.
Well, thank you so much. I cannot wait to see what you're going to be doing next. I'm going to follow you on IMDb and Instagram to see what you're going to next.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
excited to see your career progress. And that's it for this week. You can check us out at filmmakeru.com. Follow us on Instagram at filmmaker_you. I'm Jamie Hitchings, and thanks for watching.